What up, Mace?
What's up, Adam? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's just a beautiful Tuesday evening, um, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, spring is like, I feel like it's not even spring down in the South. I mean, today was 80 degrees and it's March 7th. I mean, it's just, I'm
Wild.
scared for what the summer's going to be. Um, I know.
In a good way.
I think it's
Maybe
supposed to be a
not.
little bit cooler tomorrow, thankfully, but it's just so warm. I mean, I hate to complain because my parents in just outside Chicago got snow the other day. So,
You know,
I'm not going to
my
complain about
parents
the
in
80
Sedona
degrees.
too.
Really?
Yeah,
Dang,
surprisingly. They're getting
dang.
crushed.
Really?
Yeah.
Although they get snow, like that's not that shocking out there, is it?
It is a little shocking, to be honest,
Yeah.
because, Arizona, Sedona, just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I figured it'd be the desert, and no snow ever, but the high mountains of Sedona,
Hmm.
guess it gets it
Yeah.
more
Well,
often now than it was in the past. I feel like too.
yeah, things are changing and, it's just crazy. So, well, I think that today's episode is like perfect for this hot weather. It feels like summer outside. And, episode 33 of the Assemblage Beverage podcast is Cheers to Cheap Beers. So, cheers, Mason.
So
We're both
cheers.
drinking what we classify as cheap beer. Even though I like the word inexpensive better than cheap, because cheap sounds a little you know dicey, but we're going to be kind of
Yeah,
talking about what classifies as a cheap beer. We're going to kind of run through some of our favorites, and then we're kind of going to kind of deep dive onto all things cheap beer. So Mason, what qualifies as a cheap beer in your
yeah,
opinion?
yeah. In my opinion, there's a lot of different classifications that could make a cheap beer. Um, top one being, just at your local gas station, like that automatically. If you can find it right there and then, it's not that expensive. It's a ready to drink, ready to enjoy kind of beer. I think another big thing is just like, one for the masses, that kind of beer that you can get access almost anywhere in the gas station, at the grocery store, in your beer or wine shop, depending on what state you're in, all these other different factors.
Yeah.
What other kind of factors do you think also make a cheap beer,
Yeah, so I think
or inexpensive? Excuse me.
yeah, inexpensive. No, we're calling it cheers to cheap beer. So, we're calling them cheap tonight. So, for me, it's again those gas station options. I think back a lot into college too. You shop for beer at gas stations in college for some odd reason, especially when you're just looking for that like one tall boy at the end of a long night or before a long night. You're kind of your pregame. Um, so that's another one. Like think beers that are available in larger formats. So whether it's the 22-ounce cans, I think it's a 30-ounce, and then they've got, of course, the 40s. Um,
Yeah, Edward
Edward 40
40s.
hands. Jinx. Jinx, you owe me a cheap beer, Mason.
Ah,
Um,
all right.
so yeah, anything that's kind of available in like those larger formats, because they're not microbreweries and high quality beers. They're not putting their beers into 40s. It's just you're never gonna find it. So definitely those large formats. And then kind of the last thing in my opinion is under $1 per can or bottle. Obviously talking about like a standard can or bottle of beer, not a 40. Because if you can get a 40 for under $1, ah,
Maybe it's worth it,
that might be
no
too
matter what
cheap.
it is.
That might be too cheap. You can't even get like
uh,
a 22 ounce of Four Loco for that. So, it might not be worth it. So yeah, kind of under that
uh,
dollar range. Some of them that we're going to be talking about today might be slightly over that, but I still think, the options that we chose are kind of inexpensive, cheap beer options, but also like the mass produced kind of your, you know, most recognizable brands in the supermarket, and kind of like how you touched on, if you can find it at your local gas station or grocery store or a liquor store, it's, kind of in that world.
Yeah.
So what are some of your top tier cheap beers, Mason?
Yeah. Well, Modelo being one of them, the one I'm drinking tonight. I think Yingling, PBR, Coors, Coronas, Miller. You know, there's so many. There's almost like an ungodly amount of cheap beer that is out there that you can just go find anywhere. But those are some of, I think, my top ones that I can kind of think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we were kind of putting together a list, and I was like, man, our list could be so many,
Going
because
on
there's so
forever.
many like regional things too that you might not have here, but like there's just so many regional like cheap breweries that have been around forever, especially like up in Milwaukee. There's so many of them. Some of my favorites, of course, what I'm drinking tonight, Miller High
Some,
Life, the champagne of bottled beers. Some of my other favorites, Tecate, PBR. I think PBR actually is super solid, especially if you can get it on draft, which is not found all that often. But I've had it on draft a couple of times, and like it's quite nice. You've got your Keystones, your Natty Lights, which is natural light. Those are more to
it's
me,
natty.
yeah, Natty Lights. I don't know anyone who actually calls it natural light. Um,
Uh,
and those are more like honorable mentions for me, because I really,
don't normally drink those.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a very like fraternity beer to drink. Like, I think my brother drank a lot of like Natty and Keystones.
Yeah.
Because you could get like a 30 pack for like $10. You're looking at like 33 cents a can. Um, it's just, that's like the lows of the lows. So,
Yeah.
again, that's more of an honorable mention rather than our top tier cheap beer. Um, so Mason, like,
Yeah.
what would you say like makes a cheap beer? Like, what are they?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different kind of factors that all kind of revolve around a cheap beer. But I think, one, accessibility is number one, like you finding it anywhere and everywhere. I think it being made to drink really easily, just like crushing them back. Porch pounder status, all day long. I think that kind of really makes it a cheap kind of beer as well. And then it's just super easy to produce for the production side for the person, the people making it.
Hmm.
It's just, it's got to be easily produced in any kind of weather, at any kind of time, everywhere and anywhere. And then also just being cost efficient overall for both sides, that's got to be, like you just said, 33 cents a can. Well, how much product can you really put into that 33 cents a can? There's not a whole lot you can actually add to that. So it's got to be able to be made really easily, really quickly, and wrapped out and pushed out right out the door.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, like, especially, and I don't know how much Natty Light actually is a can, but it's probably similar, somewhere in that like 30 to 40 cents a can. You got to wonder, like, how much does that cost them to make? Because you got to think the can's got to cost something, right? And then you've got
Mm-hmm.
to put the beer in there. So how much profit are they actually, like, is the total cost on that 5 cents, 10 cents? I mean, I'm sure when you're buying cans on that like that large a scale, you probably buy them for pennies. But
If not
still,
micro pennies.
yeah, probably. And who knows, maybe they have their own like aluminum factory and they make their own cans. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question.
So I think of it, always in like a business sense, because that's just how my mind works. Like, if you're charging, say, 33 cents a can, and it costs you 15 cents, you're only making 18 cents a can. But I guess if you're selling millions and millions of cans, every day or every week or however. I guess it adds up, but um, I don't know. I feel like it would just be easier to make a little bit more quality product that maybe costs a little bit more, and then you can. I don't know. I just
They've been
but
doing it for
then
so long, you know.
yeah, and maybe that's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because
Right.
obviously they're making money because they're still around and they've been around for a long time. And that's kind of the same thing with all these cheap beers. And I think that that's kind of like, they're made for the masses. They're easy to drink, and for the most part, they're all like relatively light beers, right? You don't really see any IPAs being inexpensive because I mean, yeah, obviously you have the hops and you have a lot of time and effort that goes into that, and it's almost like a craft. Not saying that cheap beer isn't a craft, but it's a lot more cost effective to produce. So, and I think that that's kind of just like a why they're all kind of like light beers. I think the one beer that's not, or I mean, not that it's heavy, but I feel like Yingling, it's really inexpensive, but it's got a lot more weight to it. Like it's almost like it's
Yeah.
amber in color. Again,
There's
it's
also,
not. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's also like, for like the heavier cheap beers that I can think of is Guinness. It's a inexpensive and just dark brewed beer that I don't really like myself. I just not a big stout kind of guy.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's something that we both agree on. Like the stouts and the porters are just not really for us.
Yeah,
Um, I can
I
definitely
appreciate
appreciate.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah, jinx.
Jinx again. I definitely can appreciate them. So like, there's no hate towards them. It's just I would never go out and like buy one.
Right,
Even in the dead of winter when it's freezing outside, like I just maybe wouldn't drink beer. I would just
right.
drink something else. Again, it's
But if
just
somebody
not my
hands me
style.
one, I'll drink it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll choke it down and I'll bitch that it's not a high life the whole time, but it is what it
uh,
is. So Mason, why are you choosing a cheap beer?
well, depends on what I'm doing, but maybe I'm just trying to go all night long. It was a party beer, for college, and so the damn dogs are yapping like crazy. But it's a party beer, and you just wanted to be able to keep drinking and still keep going all night long without getting too fucked up too quickly. You want to be able to enjoy your entire evening and not be done after just one or two drinks. And that's a big, reason why for me to choose to go for a cheaper beer, but also, just easy drinking.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah,
like, it's just so easy just and you're
little
ready to go.
ASMR too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they're cheap, like enough said, it's a no brainer. If you're on a budget or even like, I pretty much exclusively drink cheap beer. Not saying I only drink Miller High Life, but, pretty much when I'm going out, unless I'm going to like a brewery, then I'll explore some more, but it's really just like that ease, I know exactly what I'm getting. They're easy to drink and they just have been around for a long time, so obviously they're doing something right. It's And again, I think for me, beer is always it's always been, and I think it always will be kind of my chill thing, right? Like I have my level one Cicerone, but beer is not my passion. We've both spent a lot of time studying wine, and you've spent a lot of time, dealing with spirits and all that kind of stuff. And for me, beer has just always been that one thing. Like after studying wine all day, like all I want to do is drink a Coors Light or a Michelob Ultra or Miller High Life, and just kind of like, okay, I don't have to think about this. I don't have to pull out the complexities of this Miller High Life because really there's none. It's just something to kind of take the edge off and chill. And I think that that's kind of the reason that I always like, it saves me money because I enjoy inexpensive beer, which gives me more of a budget to buy wine or nice spirits or whatever it may be. Um, and I think that like for me, I drink a lot of, well, I used to drink a lot of beer. Now I'm trying to lose weight because I'm getting a little on the thicker side. But, you know,
It happens.
I'm really the only one who drinks in our household now. So, you know, if I don't really want to open a bottle of wine or have a cocktail because I'm too lazy to mix some ingredients together, meaning tequila and Topo Chico and a squeeze of lime, you know, it's really easy to just, you know, take off the cap and go. So I think that that's kind of another big reason. It's just like it's convenient, it's inexpensive, and it's single serving too. So you don't have to like open up a bottle of wine and hope someone will share a glass with you. Because then you got to drink a whole
Or
bottle of wine, or it's going to go bad.
yeah, or over pour and give yourself a 4 ounce pour instead of a 2 ounce pour, and then you're, ooh, all right, I'm feeling great.
Yeah. So of all the beers that we mentioned, Mace, what are some of your favorites of those?
So my favorite two of those are probably Modelo, as you can tell, and Yingling. Modelo is currently my house beer here now in North Carolina because my wife likes to drink it as well. You know, it's been around forever since 1925. Mexico staple. I think they made it really well and created it, and it's just easy drinking and delicious and crisp, especially if you pop a lime in it. I know some people are against it, but I'm 100% for it. And then Yingling, which is been around for forever. America's first brewery. Was already 100 years old, basically right before Prohibition started, and then actually turned 100 during Prohibition and still survived it, and then made it all the way through. So that's pretty amazing. 1829 is when it started. So just absolutely crazy. And then, Yingling was our college room beer that we always had. It was just super easy, crushable still, even though lager, so it's a little bit darker than most of the other beers. I just, I find joy in all of them, especially, just how many great memories come along with them too.
Yeah. Yeah. And
What about
Yingling,
yours?
yeah, so Yingling for me too, because I mean that was kind of when I was at my externship in North Carolina. I was there with a lot of people from Pennsylvania, so Yingling's from Pennsylvania, so they were always like, and I had never had it. I don't think we had ever drank it our freshman year, or maybe I've had it once or twice, but they're like, "Oh, have you had Yingling?" And I'm like, "No." And so we basically only drank Yingling for like 4 months. And so I was like, wow, it's really good. You know, they would buy kegs of it and shit, and we would be stupid. But
I
again, I
love that.
didn't, it's part of like Pennsylvania culture, at least like drinking culture, because it's, they're very proud of it and they should be because it's a delicious beer. But, my personal favorite, I think I talk about it in every fucking podcast that we do, Miller High Life. I've got it tatted on my leg, and it's just got a special place in my heart. It was mine and my grandpa's favorite beer to drink together. He passed away in 2021, so got that tattoo in his memory. And it's just a really solid beer. I'm really happy that when I moved down to Georgia, like a lot of the bars carry it down here, which is great because I was coming from near Chicago, you're close to Milwaukee where it's from. So everyone carries High Life. And I was worried that coming down here, like no one would carry it or everyone would think I'm crazy. I think people still think I'm crazy for like loving it. But at my last job, they served it at the bar right around the corner from the restaurant. And like it got to the point where everyone was drinking High Life. Like we would go
Nice.
out and everyone would be like, "Oh, High Life's disgusting." And then within like 4 months, everyone's like, "Man, I could go for a High Life." And I was like, "See, it's
Yeah.
fucking good." And like
Grows on you.
And it's weird because High Life is really like the only Miller product that I like. I really don't like Miller Lite. I don't like, MGD. I really don't like a lot of their products, but High Life is solid. And I did a tour of the brewery with Liv probably like 2019, and really cool tour. It was like $10, and you got like two beers during the tour, and they give you like this little like poker chip that you can take to any bar in Wisconsin and get a free like Miller beer. So
That's
it's
a
like
cool.
just the beers itself is pays for the tour. And they have, they showed us all the places that they brew beer, and then they actually have like a Miller High Life inn. And during the tour, like they have, it's like an old school like saloon on the first floor, and then upstairs they had rooms. It's like you can't stay there anymore, but um, on the first floor they have High Life on tap, and that's like one of the beers, like one of the pit stops. They pour you a High Life on tap, which is my second favorite way of drinking it. First being bottles, second tap, third, and only in desperate situations out of a can. But
No keg stands. Oh,
no, I can't like I can't really like I don't know. I think I've tried a keg stand once, and I think it all came out of my nose because I just can't like. Yeah, it was bad. What about you, Mason? What's your resume look like with keg stands?
keg stand. Just about 5 seconds. It's not too bad.
It's pretty
Not
good.
great, not bad, but it's just bubbles up too quickly, and that was at peak.
Yeah,
That was at
not
peak.
not anymore.
Not anymore. I could probably last a half a second, to be honest now.
Yeah,
But who knows? If
God, I
somebody's
can.
got a cake stand for me to try, you know what? I'll give it a go. No problem.
Yeah, I can like feel the bubbles in my nose just thinking about it. Like, ugh.
It
And
just
then
like
it's like all you
burns.
smell
And
for
then,
like the rest of the night
oh,
too.
right. Yeah. So it's like not worth it, but at the same time, it is worth it.
Yeah, it's almost like when you unsuccessfully do a keg stand though, it's almost like an alcoholic neti pot. It like clears out your sinuses and stuff. And
You know what?
you're like
Actually, yeah.
all I can smell is beer now, but I can breathe. And for me, that's like a big thing because I like can't breathe out of my nose. So,
Uh,
it's a nice little like sinus cleanse. That's good. Alcoholic
yeah.
neti pot. I like that.
I like that one. That was a good one. Oh gosh.
So Mason, why did you like cheap beer, and why do you still like cheap beer? And I mean, I know we've kind of touched on this, but kind of like,
Yeah.
why do you still like it?
Yeah. Why I think we touched on why we used to drink it all the time, just inexpensive. It's really easy to go. Why do I still drink it? Just like after a hard day of work or just a long day, you just want to have something crisp and easy and light, and just want to sip on it. It's hot outside. You want to stand out on the porch. You want to crack open the beer, put the lime in it.
Yep.
Takes a nice sip and then not also get too drunk, or early morning status. You can drink it like as a breakfast beer, and you know continue with your day no problem, and it makes life really really easy to do. you know you know Getting ready to mow the grass, and which I
Mhm.
gotta do now. Crack open the beer, start mowing the grass, have a couple sips, go back. I think it refreshes your palate quite a bit. There's a lot of good reasons.
Do you have like
Just
a
make
little? Do you have like a little cup holder on your mower?
No, but that would be a great attachment. I've
Yeah.
got koozies though, so
Mhm.
koozie. I'm surprised I didn't put one on today, but I guess you know,
Did you get
trying to
yourself
show
a?
off.
Because I know you bought a house in October, so you probably haven't had to mow like too much yet. Did you buy yourself a
First
rider
time,
mower, or do you have like a
nah,
push
push
mower?
mower.
Do you,
Yeah,
do you at least
I
have a
wanted a rider
self-propelled?
mower. Nope, nope, nope.
Oh, the
But I
old
got an
school.
electric one. But
Oh,
it's nice. It's not old school. Old school.
yeah.
You go like, but when you actually have an electric mower, you're like, you know what? I enjoy it, and it makes life easy. Just crank, push the button, and it goes.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, no
You don't have to
gas.
like rip the ripcord and like struggle with it.
No, not at all. It's pretty simple. You can set it up really quickly, disassemble it really quickly. No grease, no anything like that you have to worry about. But it's really, nice to just like have no like the worry that you think is the battery, right? It's gonna run out and whatnot. But honestly, it's got 45 minutes to an hour, and that's enough
Hmm.
for the half acre basically. So it works. It works perfectly.
Nice.
Now it's just all about detailing.
Yeah. Get your weed whacker out and stuff too.
I gotta get one of those now.
Yeah. I will say,
Everything is so expensive.
I
It's just
know,
ridiculous.
I know. It's just
But it is what it is.
yeah, it's just the way of the world, unfortunately. For me, like, I think, your wedding was kind of my wake up call that I'm getting old. Like, even though we're not that old, like, and I was talking to your friend Joe Grippo. I don't know if he's listening to this podcast, but we were talking about, every
Shout
time.
out.
Yeah, shout out Joe. It was my first time meeting him. Super cool guy. But we were talking, and I think it was the brunch the day after your wedding, and we were talking about like how whenever we stand up, we like make a sigh, like like you gotta like muster up the strength to get up, and it's just like that's like the first sign of like getting old. So now I'm like I'm like a 90-year-old man, right? I like crack open my high life, I like sigh, sit in the chair, kick my feet
Sit in a
up, and
rocking
just
chair.
and I'm like, man, I'm getting old. Um, it's so sad, but I welcome it at the same time because honestly, like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sigh, I catch now that I've like acknowledged it, I catch myself doing it all the time, and I'm like, God damn it, what is wrong
Why
with
do I
me?
keep doing it?
I know, I know. And I think I like just that crushability. Like I'm a big, and I think it's a Midwestern thing because when I moved down to Georgia, because I like we both love to play golf, and it doesn't matter
Mhm.
how early the tee time is. On that first tee box, there is a beer cracked open. Like I don't give a fuck if it's a 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. tee time. Like I'm cracking a beer on that first hole. Like it's just I've got my Gatorade, maybe a coffee, and I've got a beer. Like I've got like three beverages going. Um,
You're ready.
yeah, which is like a weird like upper downer electrolyte situation, but hey, it is what it is.
You know,
Um,
you gotta get yourself going. Maybe a Red Bull in there too.
no,
Little,
no
little
Red
Jack
Bulls for me.
Daniels.
No, 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 no. I'm not an energy drink connoisseur. It's just it messes with me too much. I can drink like unlimited cups of coffee and be fine. If I take like 2 sips of an energy drink, my heart feels like it's gonna explode. Yeah, but I noticed, or I didn't really notice, but I was golfing with two older like gentlemen, probably in their 70s, and it was Thursday morning at like 7 a.m. It was like the first tee time of the day, and I was golfing solo. They knew each other, so I had my own cart, they had their cart, and first tee, we drive off the first tee, and I get to my ball and I crack open a beer and take a sip and then go and hit my shot. Couple holes later, I've had maybe two tree beers, and
Two cheapies.
2 tree beers, and they're like, they're like, where are you? Are you from the Midwest? And I was like, yeah, why? And they're like, because here in the South, we don't really drink beer while we're golfing. Like we'll have, we might stop at the turn and have like a whiskey Coke or something, but like we don't really drink on the course, or afterwards, 19th hole. They'll go to the clubhouse and have, a couple drinks or something, like a spiked Arnold Palmer or something, but like we don't really drink on the course. And I was like, why? That's like half the reason to go golf. It's like
Yeah.
depending on how you're playing, some days it's like golf is kind of the least importance, especially when you're playing bad. It's like, okay, it's a beautiful day. We're outside, we're enjoying nature, maybe get sunburnt, drinking. and then like
Yeah.
golf. If you're playing well, the golf kind of takes a little bit more, priority, but um and then, smoking a cigar too is like an unreal experience on the golf course. Especially like black and milds.
I love it.
Black and milds and
You know,
like cans of High Life or PBR on the golf course with a black and mild, it's like it's
crushing it.
it's unreal. It's unreal. I'll like chain smoke like 5 black and milds on the course. It's bad, but it's just so awesome. And that's the only time I smoke cigars is like when I'm golfing. But that combination on the golf course, and you don't want to drink like super heavy or super expensive beer on the golf course too, because like half the time you like open it and then it sits in your cup holder and it gets warm, so you want to just be able to like choke it down and then crack a fresh one. If you're drinking like IPAs on the golf course or like craft beer, why? It's got to be that cheap gas station, and that's another good reason for the gas station beers too.
On the way to the golf course.
On the way to the golf course, you stop, you get your little Starbucks double shot and a couple tall boys of PBR, sneak them into your bag, make sure the marshal doesn't find them on the way in, and you're set. You're set and golden. Mason, what's your
marshals?
Yeah, in some courses.
Man, every course I've been to out here, it's just been all right. Go ahead,
like a free for all. There's no one that like
you gotta check in, and then somebody keeps the time going. But like they put a cooler on the side for you and everything.
Yeah, well, they don't have like someone driving around the course, like making sure pace of play is keeping up.
Maybe I just have never noticed.
Yeah, you're too busy drinking your beer
and playing well,
or not. Mason's a secret ace. He's like shooting like 4 under and stuff on the course. Yeah, I'm not. Probably because I drink beer. If I were to just not drink beer, I'd probably be a lot better. But I think in my mind, the beer helps me play better, and I think it's true to a certain extent until you get like,
right?
Yeah,
you get a perfect shot. You're like terrible, then you're perfect for a while, and then you're just terrible again. That's it.
Yeah, you hit your sweet spot for about like a half a beer, and then you're like, you go from too sober to like too drunk, and then you're like, oh, there I go. Now I'm whiffing. I can't even hit the ball. Mason, what's kind of your first memory or lack thereof drinking beer or inexpensive beer?
Yeah, well, I've got 2 first memories. One being in high school, just at one of my friends' parties, and just like crushing just can after can with all the friends there, and everybody just like getting sloshed, and then everybody passing out on the floor basically of my friend's house. And that's what that was, and you just don't remember, and you wake up and you're like super hungover for like 20 minutes, and then you're up ready to go again.
Yeah, those are the
Back
days.
in those days.
Those are the days.
Back in those days. And then the second one being in college, and honestly, I think it was like right after the Four Loko spree that we had, crushing Yinglings like crazy. I think I remember getting a 12-pack with you, and then our secret 12-pack that didn't actually exist in the trunk, and just opening one, chatting, and then all of a sudden there was 12 in the bag, ready to be thrown out, and we're like, where are the rest? And we realized it wasn't 12, it was 24.
Yeah, and those little tiny college trash cans too. They're like, the size of like just a little bathroom trash can. So it's like you can really only fit maybe 12 crushed cans in there, and then it's full.
Yeah. Gosh, good times. Anyways,
I know. Another thing that I'm like getting old is like I'll have like 3 drinks now, and I wake up and I'm like, man, I'm fucking hungover. Do you get that way, or is it just me?
So I think I just got used to it now. When I'm just always hungover. Not really, but really.
Yeah, you can't be hungover if you just wake up drinking, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, man, and maybe it's just because I don't drink enough water. That could be it too. I'm like, I have
I
a
do
bad
drink a
habit of
lot of
like,
water now.
yeah, I have a bad habit of just like, I have one like a 40-ounce water bottle, and like, I'll drink one of those, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm set for the day. It's like, no, you're supposed to drink like 4 of those, or
Yeah.
at least 3 of them.
I think it was after the Jello shot bowl
Mm,
scenario that I
mm.
started building my water habit. 1 cup, 1 drink, and just never broke it.
Yeah, I've never gotten into that. It seems like too much
It
liquid.
works out sometimes. You do have to pee a lot.
Yeah,
Once you break that seal, that's it. It's over.
game
You're
over.
peeing all night long.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think my first memory was probably college. Like, I didn't really drink beer until I got to college, and really not even until like our sophomore year. Because our freshman year, we just basically drank Four Loko and like whatever people would get for us. And then post extern, when we came back and we started living together, and that's kind of when we started drinking beer. I'd had it before, of course, but actually my externship was probably like when I really started drinking, because again, the Yingling, all my friends down there drink Yingling, so it's just, for me, it's very, like you said, a very like memory provoking beverage, because it's just like you remember like those college days and our younger days, not that we're that old, but the simpler times, when all you had to worry about in life was like how you're getting alcohol for the weekend, or like, oh, I got my paycheck so I can go buy booze at the liquor store for this weekend, and
For
maybe if
all
we're
of
lucky
it.
we'll have a little bit left for the week. um I think about back then, like, we were making, I mean, it was a different time. Like, we had a meal plan and everything like that, but we were both worked at the same place, so we made the same amount of money. It was like, what, 9.50 an hour, unless you worked
Yeah.
those like 5:30 a.m. shifts, and then I think you made like $15 an hour. So like, our paycheck after 2 weeks would be like $300 if we were lucky.
Right. It's
So,
absolutely nothing.
and I feel like that money basically just went straight into like booze and beer and maybe some meals on the weekend or something, but like most of it went to alcohol. um
Yep.
those are much
Pretty
simpler
much.
times. Now we got grown-up bills, and
Rent, house payments,
it sucks.
dogs.
I mean, it's good. I mean, I don't want to say that it sucks, but like,
It's good stuff. It is all
it is
good
good
stuff.
stuff. Yeah. And
It's
that,
being an adult, but the
mhm.
simplicity of that was nice back in the day.
Yeah, when you had no worries, it's like, oh, I got paid today, I can go buy whatever shit. And
Anything.
yeah.
Not worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Hey,
Better
we're moving
days.
on. Bigger and better.
Bigger
Can't
and
wait for
better.
the
Yeah.
next step.
Now we're still drinking cheap beer, but we're talking about it on a mic. So, we made it.
We made
Um,
it.
Mace, what's our question of the
Uh,
day for the listeners?
all right. So the question of the day. I'm gonna pull this up real quick, everybody. Boom. Shakalaka. All right. If you could only have one beer for the rest of your life, what would it be, and why did you choose it?
Yeah. What would your answer be, Mace?
If I had one beer for the rest of my life, probably would be Modelo. One, easy drinking, super nice. You add a lime to lime to the bottle, tastes great. And then second, it's my wife's favorite beer, so I win-win because that means she'll actually have a drink with me periodically.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Thank you. What's your choice?
Bud Light.
We already know. We already know that answer.
No, yeah,
That's
it's Miller High Life. I just wanted to catch you off guard there with Bud Light, which is easily the worst fucking light beer. That and Miller Lite are terrible. But Going to
Crushable, but terrible.
Going to Cubs games growing up though, like it was either Goose Island or Bud Light were like the two options, or Old Style, which is also that didn't even get mentioned. Old Style is like a classic one too.
See?
Yeah, it would be High Life. It's just so crushable, easy to drink, chill, doesn't need a lime.
You can hate on me all you want, but
No, I'm not hating.
I enjoy my life.
I'm not hating. It's just not for me. But I feel like I'm kind of the outcast in that. Everyone likes beer likes beer in their lime, likes lime in their beer.
I always like a little beer in my lime.
Yeah, it's just not for me, and I accept that.
I get you.
Like I love lime and I love citrus. It's just in beer. Yeah,
nah.
I could go without it. Mace, what do you say we wrap this up? We actually might hit our time period this time, instead of going way over. So yeah. I want to say before we wrap it up though, our next podcast, which will be released in 2 weeks, we are doing a really fun collaborative podcast with a special guest. / will be a special guest on his podcast. It's kind of like a dual podcast that'll be released on both of our pages. So stay tuned for that. I won't spoil that too much, but I think we're recording that next week, and it'll be out in 2 weeks from Thursday, or 2 weeks from today if you're listening to this podcast on Thursday. So should be really fun. But until then, just make sure you like, subscribe, smash the subscribe button.
Smash it.
Follow us on social media. Share us with your mom, with your friends, with your fiance, with your wife, with your husband, whoever isn't listening to this podcast. Share it with them because we appreciate the support. Yeah, we need listeners. Yeah, and make sure you keep tuning in because we appreciate your feedback. But until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Mason. And let's
keep on blending. Hell yeah. We got it.
Yeah.
We got it for once. Yeah.